Good morning, Facebook. I'm coming to you an hour later this morning due to technical difficulties earlier. Hopefully you can hear me now. I didn't have any sound earlier, so I spent 30 minutes talking to myself, which is fine. But these things happen. I thought I would just re-record this video so that you could have your complete set of 7 days. This is the seventh day of movement and mindfulness. So today I wanted to focus in on the breath work, focusing on the lungs, because these are some important organs that we haven't yet really explored or talked about in very much detail. So we're going to discuss kind of the way that the lungs function and how they are so incredible. Actually, they're pretty amazing, our lungs. And then in the sort of meditation mindfulness aspect, we'll look at creating a little bit of space between our work life and our home life. So, all right, let's get started. You're just going to take your hands and kind of feel above your collarbones, because actually if you let your fingers kind of sink in a little bit, you might just feel the very top of your lung, which is kind of a strange thing, but it's quite interesting. Your lung starts all the way up here, and it comes down quite far. So both of your lungs, either side, come about this far down in your rib cage. So quite a big organ, and you actually have more lung on one side than you do on the other. So your lung on your right side has three of these lobes, three kind of separate parts that can move around. They're not separate, they are one, but they have this flexibility and this movability, so that you can rotate and have some movement around. And on your left side, it's a little bit smaller. You've got only two lobes over here because your heart rests on top of your lungs and you need a bit of space for that to happen. So I quite like this little picture of your heart being hugged by your lungs as they rest inside of your rib cage here. So just going to start to take a couple of deep breaths, and I want you to see if maybe you could allow the air to be channeled into one side, into the right side, the right lung. So you're breathing in through the nose and exhaling out through the open mouth. I'm just seeing again if you could breathe more into that right lung. Start to see if you could breathe into the back of that right lung. Actually, most of the tissue of the lung is at the back of the body. And if you were to lay all the lungs, the area would cover the area of a tennis court. That's how much tissue that we have, how much ability we have to bring that oxygen in and really allow for the exchange to happen so we can take all that beautiful fresh air in. So we're just focusing on that one side for the moment. Taking it in as much as possible. Might be a little bit challenging to think about the back of the body and bringing the air into the back of the body. Just see what happens for you. And then let's change over to the left side. So now, remembering that you've only got those two lobes, your lungs a little bit smaller, but see if you can start to channel the air into that left lung. Maybe imagining a little balloon inflating and deflating, but really just focusing your attention on that left side, maybe into the back, more into the back of that left lung. Really nice. And then start to take breath into both lungs. And you want to start to think about the lungs being like a bucket that you could fill up from the very bottom all the way up to the top. And then as you exhale, you just empty out the bucket, so you let the breath leave the top of the lung all the way down to the very bottom, and then immediately just allow it to fill back up again. So we're taking these really big, deep, lovely breaths into both lungs now. Beautiful. Okay, so I'm going to move back onto my mat. I'm just going to shift my legs around. So hopefully this is a position that you can get into, having your right leg around to the front with your right foot kind of nearish to your left thigh and your left foot out behind you. And all we're going to start to do here is just breathe in, let the top of that thigh start to roll forward and then start to roll it back. So just getting a bit of movement through this joint here. Quite like to just use my hand to kind of feel it myself swiveling around this thigh, this leg. Notice it's not my kind of shoulders doing the swiveling and the moving, it's more from this hip joint. So see if you can find that for yourself, this bit of swiveling action going through that top thigh. Kind of sitting down into it as it comes back and really opening up through the front of the hip as you come forward. Just do that a couple more times. And then you're going to bring your left hand around. So you're framing your front leg. And just bring yourself down as far as feels comfortable for you. You're going to start to breathe in, lift your heart space, and take a big deep breath into the front of your lungs. And kind of use your hands to pull forward towards you to give you that lift. And then exhale, press your hands away. Start to get your lungs to go right back into the back of the body so that you can create that space between the shoulder blades for the lungs. And then you're going to inhale, lift, breathe into the front of the lungs, lift the heart space, use your hands to do so, and then exhale, press yourself back and let the air just really expand. So let's stay here for a couple of breaths. And we'll let that air expand the shoulder blades, so expand that space. Feel your hands just giving you a little bit of assistance to do that. And then on your next inhale, start to lift up. Use your hands to sort of pull you forward, up out of your heart space, so you can breathe right into the front of the lungs. One more time, going back, exhaling. And then come back just to a more neutral space for your spine. And see if you could lower yourself maybe a little bit farther down towards your front thigh. If that's not possible, you can stay up here. That's absolutely fine. But I quite like to rest my head down onto my hands. I won't do that now so that I can still speak to you. But if it's comfortable for you, let your head rest onto your hands. We're going to see if we can start to move this back leg. So we're going to start with that back knee, just seeing if you can gently lift and lower it away from the floor. If that's not possible, then just the idea of lifting and lowering that knee can be enough. So just work with whatever's going on with you today. A few times lifting and lowering that knee or just thinking about it. And then we'll move on to the foot. So we're going to lift and lower that back foot. And again, this might not be possible for you. Just the idea of lifting and lowering can be enough. Work with where you are today. And then settle that back leg down. Start to bring yourself back up. We're going to settle the right hand right kind of in the center of the next to the right thigh. Bring your left hand forward in front of that right hand and start to just draw a big half circle around towards your back foot. So you're taking your left hand and you're drawing a half circle towards your front right hand and your back left foot. Just doing that a few times if you can, letting the hand just stay kind of skimming along the floor and watching it with your gaze the whole time. Image here is that you have a little car underneath your hand that you're driving from your foot to your head. And then you could let that car take off. So from the back foot, it could turn into an aeroplane and start to lift off and up over the head. Nice big deep breath in as it comes up and over, exhaling as it comes down. You might even feel that your top hip starts to come with you. You can let your pelvis leave the floor if that feels good for you. It's not too much pressure onto your right supporting wrist. Again, just do what feels right for you, but it feels really good for me to open up through the front of the hip as my arm comes up and over my head. So just doing whatever is comfortable and good for your body this morning. If you want to add in a little bit of an extra move, you could start to bring the hand up and over the head behind you and back down into a circle. Make sure this doesn't come into your lower back. You really have to be lifting up and out of that spine. And we'll do that 2 more times. Nice big deep breath in. Whatever movement that you're doing, just making it feel really nourishing for you. Lovely. And just get your hands out of your way so that you can just move your knees from side to side. I'm leaving my feet where they are, and I'm just kind of swiveling my legs around my feet, leaving my bum where it is. You might slide around on your mat a little bit, but you can let your knees and legs be like little windshield wipers from side to side. Let's just wake up those hips. Nice. And then you're going to swivel around so that your left leg is now in the front. Right leg is behind you with your right foot out. If it kind of gets crampy or anything with this back leg, you can try flexing your toes toward your knee. That might relieve you of your cramp. Just make yourself comfortable as possible in this position. So we're going to start with that little bit of movement through that top right hip, swiveling it forward and swiveling it back. Remember, we're not trying to move the shoulders so much as really thinking about the thigh rolling in the hip socket. So again, just kind of like to use my hand because that can give my body a little bit more of an idea of what I'm asking for. See whatever works for you here. I'm going to keep that top thigh lifting up and out. Start to frame your hands around your front leg and walk yourself slightly forward. Take a deep breath in. Hands stay where they are, but you can think about dragging them towards you as you lift your heart space and your gaze up towards the wall in front of you. And then as you exhale, you're pushing away. You're creating lots of space between your shoulder blades. And you're inhaling to lift your heart space, lift your lungs, really breathe into the front of your body. Exhale, send that breath back into the back of the body. Take 2 breaths here now. Breathing into the back space of the body. Make sure you're not hanging on to your neck. And then with your inhale, lifting up and out of the front of your body. Exhale, pressing back. Come to a more neutral place and then see if you can walk yourself down a little bit closer to your front thigh. And if it even feels comfortable, you could rest your head down onto your hands. From here, we're going to start seeing if you can lift up through that your back right knee, just lifting and lowering. Again, just make it as big or as small as suits you, as is possible for your body today. There's no right or wrong with this. We're just asking for some rotation to happen through that top leg, swiveling it around. And then see if you can do the same with your foot. Lifting and lowering it, let the knee stay where it is, and lift and lower through your back right foot. Once you've done that a few times, just settling it down, pressing yourself back up, placing your hand so that it's kind of halfway up the thigh out to the side. Take your top right hand and start to draw a half circle back to your right foot and then around back towards your left hand. So again, just kind of seeing if you can skim the ground with your hand as you're drawing that circle. Keep your gaze on it the whole time. Got your little toy car that you're driving from your foot to your hand, and then let it turn into an aeroplane and take off up and over the head here. I'm just going to do that to a range that feels good for you. You can let your pelvis take off with you too, which is what I've already done because I think it feels so nice. Breathing in as you come up and exhaling as you come back down and over. If you want to add in that circle of the arm, you can. You come slightly back with the hand and then let the arm come down behind you a little bit and then circle. Just do that a few more times. Make sure you're not causing too much compression onto that lower wrist. Just be mindful of that for yourself. We'll do that one more time. Beautiful. And then just placing your hands out of the way so you can have that little side-to-side movement of the knees, feet staying where they are on the floor. Really, hopefully both those hips feel really awake and alive now. A bit more lubricated with all that healthy synovial fluid that comes into the joint when we start to move it. Okay, so all of that to bring you back to a lovely seated position. So for me, I quite like to have my cushions to make myself comfortable, a couple underneath my knees and one underneath my bottom, just to give me a little bit of lift away from the floor. So you can settle in and get really comfy here. So if you want to sit back up against a wall, that can be helpful sometimes, or even sitting into a chair, just wherever you need to be to let yourself kind of settle in and settle down as we begin to think about this idea of creating space. So you might just kind of be settling into lockdown 2.0. Here in England is what's happening for us. And that might have created this, again, as in the original lockdown, this delineation between your work life and your home life. So you might be doing all of your working and living from your home. That's the case for me. And I find that it's harder than to separate my work life and my home life to get that balance. So what I tend to do is create a little morning ritual for myself so that I know that at least in the mornings I have that bit of time when I'm not doing any work. I'm really just taking a little holiday from having to think too much, having to be distracted by my phone or my computer or whatever it is that takes my mind off of how I'm feeling and what's going on in my own body. So really important to spend those little moments reconnecting with kind of what's happening with you. So I encourage you this week to see if you can carve out, 15 or 30 minutes in whatever part of the day that really suits you. I'm a morning person, so I tend to do it in the morning. But if you prefer the evening, see if you can just take, 15 minutes to just sit and let your thoughts go to one side. In fact, we can practice that now. So if you just allow your eyes to close, what can be really helpful is to bring all of your attention and your awareness to the breath. And what I like to do sometimes to remind me to do that is just tap my nose so that I can remember I'm focusing my attention specifically on the breath coming in through the nostrils and out through the nostrils. So this tends to be really grounding breath. You can really just start to settle the thoughts and again just give you a little holiday from having to, do your normal everyday routine. You don't have to go all the way over to some foreign country to have a holiday. You can do it in your own home, in your own time, every single day. So just going to do a little body scan to allow you to settle into this space, into your breath a little bit more, and just inviting a little bit more relaxation. So starting with the crown of the head, just think about all those muscles that might be holding on to tension, just releasing and relaxing. All those muscles around the top of the skull that we didn't even know there was tension there. You can just let it be released. And then just doing your body scan down through the front of the face, past the eyes, let them just roll back and relax. Be just free of any tension. As your eyes are closed, they don't have to look at anything. You can just relax. Your nose and your mouth, your jaw can all be released and relaxed. Your tongue can just hang out nice and spread out and heavy in the throat. Widening through the sides of the head, the ears, just melting any tension through the back of the skull. Finding this complete relaxation through the back of the neck, front of the neck, and then through the shoulders. So quite easy to hang on to tension in the shoulders. Just see if you can allow them to settle, slide down with that melting sense of relaxation. Relaxing through the tops of the arms, the elbows, the forearms, and the hands. I quite like to just let my hands rest onto the tops of my knees. That feels really supported and comfortable. But you could fold your hands into your lap if that feels better for you. And then relaxing any tension between that space of the shoulders, melting any tension, bringing relaxation through the whole of the spine, the mid-back, and the lower back. Through the chest as well, just allowing that whole area to feel released and relaxed. Now holding on to any muscles around the abdomen or the belly, just let them relax. Any muscles around the pelvis, the thighs, the knees, the lower legs, and the feet, letting any tension out of the toes and the feet. So that you can just feel completely supported and relaxed. You can settle into this space, allowing all of your thoughts just to settle to one side so that really all your attention can be focused on the breath. So again, now just bringing your awareness to the breath. And if it's helpful for you, you can begin to assign each breath a number, 1 through 10. Breathing in, labeling that breath 1, and then exhaling. Breathing in, labeling the next breath as 2, and then exhaling. So you're counting up to 10, and then you'll start back over at 1 again. And that can just give you something to concentrate your thoughts on, especially if you're new to this sort of thing. It can be really easy to get carried away by all the million different things going on in our heads. So spend the next 5 minutes in silence, giving you the time and the space to count your breath, focus in on the shape, the texture, the temperature of your own breath. We'll start that 5 minutes of silence now. So starting to bring your awareness into the space, but keeping your eyes closed for now. So for some people, this can be quite a challenge just to sit in silence with the stillness of allowing your thoughts to kind of shift and settle. And again, when you first start out, that can be a challenge, but see if you can just carve out a bit of space for yourself within the coming week, a little bit of time, the morning or the evening, whatever works for you, to just focus a few moments on your breath and to give your mind a little holiday from all of the busyness and distraction that is just the norm for us these days. Just appreciating the peace and the solitude of that bit of time for yourself. And just moving your fingers, feeling the textures around you with your hands, allowing your eyes to open, and having a great Sunday. Thanks for your time today joining me here, and I look forward to seeing you throughout the rest of the week. 7:30 again, 7:30 to 8. Today was slightly unusual because of my technological difficulty, but I do plan to do my kind of normal time. And I'll be talking a little bit more throughout this week and through the end of the month about my program that explores a lot of what we've been talking about within the last 7 days, taking it really in depth, and so that you can have more moments of calm and tranquility through your day, just the confidence to take that into all of your relationships, everything else that you do throughout the rest of your day and into your life. So again, thanks for joining me, and I will see you later on throughout the week. Have a good day. Bye.